Hi, my name is Heather and I designed a pattern that you can use to show your travels through North America. Some people that I have given this pattern to have needed a little bit of help getting started because maybe they've never cross-stitched before, so I decided to put in a little tutorial. So the first thing you'll do is you're going to outline all of the countries in black. There's states and provinces in this map, but each one you need to outline in black before you get started. So you'll just use embroidery thread. This one, if you get it in a kit, like maybe it's left over from a cross-stitch kit, it'll already be pre-cut into sections like this one is, but possibly you might need to purchase a whole hank of embroidery thread, and then you would cut it in, this one is 100 centimeters or 38 inches, and I just fold mine in half. And you'll notice that there's about 6 different strands in each one. So you'll just want to pull one of the strands. I pinch the rest in my other hand and just pull that one strand out. And the rest just kind of falls in a clump, and I'll put that to the side. When you're doing outlines, you're only going to want to use one strand of the thread. I've got my needles here. I like a medium needle. This is my pack of needles. It says number 18 to number 24, so I'm assuming this one might be a number 20. I'm going to thread, this is my little trick, I like to pinch it in a loop and then thread the needle. And I'll just pull it so I've got a little bit left over at the end, but not so much that I'm having to pull so much thread through it each time. So each map has a little X on it. In this case, it's right in the middle. Well, actually, it's on my hometown. Look at that. So you can find your middle of your fabric. Usually I'll do this by bending the 2 pieces of fabric together until there's a little crease right here, kind of like you would bend a piece of paper. You'd bend it in half, and then you would bend it in half again, and then right at the middle, by the time you unfold it, you should be able to still see your little middle. And the same thing goes when you use fabric. In this case, we're going to say this is my middle right here. I'm just going to poke my needle up through the fabric, and at the back, I'm going to make sure I leave a little bit of a tail. Oh, I've made myself a knot. I hate knots. I'm anti-knots, but I'll fold that in later. So I'm just going to leave myself a bit of a tail and pinch it with my finger there and turn it back over to the front. I've come up about where the X is. So I've come up about here where the X is. I want to be 2 stitches down and come up right here. What we're going to do is we're going to make North Dakota, and then we're going to color it in. So from this point right here, I'm going to put my needle back in. I'm going to be really sure that I am not splitting the thread, that I'm going above or below the thread, but not actually putting my needle in between the thread, because that's just going to cause a problem. So I'll just skip down 2. So I put my needle in. On the back with my other finger, I'm pushing on the fabric, and that pushes the needle back out, and then I'm kind of pinching it with my index fingers on the back and my thumbs on the front, and I'm pushing it to make that needle come out where I want it to come out. So I'm just going to make it come out 2 squares down from where it was before. And sometimes there we go. Okay, so from this point right here, I want to go 2 squares over, so I'll go put it down, and that's my 1 square. There we go. I'll come back up 1 square over from that, and that's the point right there where I'm coming up. There we go. I'll go back down, and I'm going to go like this all the way around. I like to cheat. I don't like to go down, pull it all the way through, back up, pull it all the way through. I like to go down where I'm finishing my stitch and then push the needle back up from the back to the front, and that way I cut down the number of times I actually have to make this motion. So I am right here, I'm 2 stitches down. The next place I need to go is over here. So I'm going to go in 2 stitches down from that vertical line here, or horizontal line here, and then I'm going to come up right there, which is the next place I need to be. I'm going to go down and finish that corner and come up at the next place I want to be. So I do kind of have to think ahead. Where am I heading? So I'm finishing this stitch and then looking on my pattern to see I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares across. I'm at 1, 2, 3. This will be my 4th that I'm starting. When I put my needle in, I'm going to bring it up at the end of my 5th stitch, pull it through, back in again, and now I have to head up because this stitch right here, when it's complete, will be the end of that bottom row, and I need to start heading up. And you don't have to do it my way. I just like it because I feel like it really reduces the number of, I don't even know, I guess each stitch still ends up being a stitch, but I only have to pull the yarn through the work about half as many times when I do it this way. Okay, this one I'm going to do it the way I don't like to do it because sometimes going from left to right in the fabric is a little tricky. So I'm going down, I'll come back up one over, and my last one. Okay, so to finish it off, typically on the back, I'll just try to weave this through a little bit. And I'm really not too particular about making sure that there's a complete knot knotted off. Actually, I'm anti-knots. If I can at all avoid a knot, I will do everything in my power. There goes my camera. To do so. And I'm just going to snip this off. Sorry if you're getting motion sickness. All right, so that is just North Dakota. In order to do the map, you would go and do every single state and province around. And it'll end up looking a little like this. So after you do all of the states and provinces, you can go in and you can fill each one in with whatever color you want. So what I did was, instead of buying new floss, you can use some that might be left over from an old project. In this case, if you did want to buy new floss, I wouldn't buy 50 or 60 different colors. I've reused colors throughout. See, these are the same, and I've used these in a few places. So you could just buy maybe a handful and strategically use them and split them up and make a neat little color palette. I thought about, after I started doing it, what if I just did shades of blue? That would be kind of pretty. So maybe a darker one here and a lighter one here, and I could have got really creative, or shades of pink or red or what have you. I even thought about if you wanted to color code it. So for example, if you made yourself a little label and it said, okay, all the pink countries are the ones that she's been to, the blue countries he's been to, the purple ones we've been to together, and maybe the green ones we've lived in, or something to that effect. You can do whatever you want with it once you make the pattern. The colors that are represented on the pattern are just to help you differentiate each state and province. So then when you're done with the blue, you can just take it off your needle, and I'm going to do the North Dakota in red. So again, I like to pinch it, and notice how this time I've got two threads for my floss, 2 strands of floss. I'm going to pinch it in my finger, and I'm going to make a little pinch and kind of shove that loop through. I find that easier, but if you find it easier to do it your way, that is fine by me. Now, typically when you read cross-stitch directions, they will tell you to come up in the bottom left-hand corner and go up to the top right. I like to do it a different way. So I'm going to show you the way I like to do it, and you can do it however you'd like to do it. I like to start on the very right-hand side of whatever section I'm working on. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start at the top. So I'm going to put my needle in. Again, at the back, I'm going to leave myself, I'm going to leave myself a little bit of thread that I can hold down with my finger. Okay? Flip it back to the front, put my needle in. For the first couple stitches, I'll probably do it the way I don't like to do it, and I'll pull it all the way through the back, flip it over, and put it back in again. I'm doing this because I want to make sure that I lock down these threads that are hanging out of the bottom. This way I don't have to make a dreaded knot. Now, I like to work from the top left corner of each square down to the bottom right. And I know I have to be in the top left corner of the next bottom square, so I can just go right from the right over to the left through the back and make one pull of the yarn or the thread. And then for the bottom, I'll do the exact same thing. From the right, because I'm going to take the yarn from the top left down to the bottom right corner, and I'm coming out on the very left side. And now I've made all my top left to bottom rights. Then I'm going to come back and do my bottom left to top rights. But I do it the exact same way. I'm making the exact same motion all the way up. Whoops, I lost my yarn. Just pulling it from the right to the left. You're going to get another tutorial on how to thread this needle. There we go. Okay. And again. Now, the next place I need to be is going to be over here in this top left corner. So I'm going to put the needle in where I'm finishing the stitch and pull it up where I am trying to get to next. Notice how my needle right now is over top of that black yarn. I'd like to, if it's possible, try to get under it. It'll just look a little more finished later. In a perfect world, if this project wasn't going to be a work in progress, you could do all the colors first and then do the outlines later. If you're working a project out of one of the kits and it's got outlining like the black, typically they will always tell you to do it after. And really it does look much nicer if it's done after. However, for this purpose, we are trying to make a project that is going to be a work in project. Or a work in progress. So you're going to want to see all the little places you haven't been to yet so you can go around and color them in later. For this reason, I suggest you do the whole outline first and then color in the photos after, or the color in the states after. But if you've been to a lot of states and you want to do all your states first, that is not a problem. Or if you get to the point where you filled in a lot of your states and you want to go back over some of the boundaries with the black again and make them look a little crisper, that would be really nice too. But this is just to get you started. We're working on the basics here. So if you don't want to do it this way, you don't have to. You go down, you pull it, you come up, you pull it down and pull it back up and pull it. But I think this is so much faster. Oops, again, I'm trying to stay on the inside of that black if it's possible. Sometimes it's a little tricky and I'm not going to be so particular that I'll hold myself up too long trying to fight with it, but I try if at all possible. All right, there, we're done North Dakota, so we're done with the red, and we want to try to figure out how to finish it off. You don't want to just snip the yarn. You want to turn it over and try to pass that yarn under the loops you've already made. There you go. Pull it through, and now you can give it a snip. And you can snip off the little one that you made already too. All right, there's a brief little tutorial on how you're going to finish in your pattern once you get it. Of course, you'll want to make all your black outlines first, and then you can fill in all the little provinces and states that you've been to along the way. Hope you enjoy your pattern, and I'm excited to see what everybody's finished products look like. So make sure you post them on my Facebook page, Yellow Ribbon Crafts, and I always like Pinterest. It's Y Ribbon Crafts. Thank you.